the regal, the monumental, the phenomenal,
the bruja,
the brujaistic. Let's make that up. The fancy.
Oh, what? Okay, you always pointing new terms. Anyway, we are here with MADlines. MADlines is an amazing artist from Seattle, and she is here today to let us know a little bit more about all the workings and the gears and grinds in her mind. What's up, Maddie? How you feeling?
Hi, ladies. It's so good to see you. You looking gorgeous. You looking fly. Thank you for putting this together. I really, really appreciate you, and I appreciate being here with you. So, thank you.
I feel the affirmation. I'm a bad bitch. You can't kill me.
Yes.
So today, how our interview is gonna go is we're gonna ask you one question that you are gonna fill up. It's gonna be timed.
Okay.
Then Mad and I are going to piggyback and forth, asking you more questions, so folks can really get to know who you are as an artist, where you stand on things, how you feel, your emotions, how you work. And then we're gonna have a lightning round. We're gonna shout things out, you style. Okay, we're gonna try to get this money by answering all the questions.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna start off with the 1 minute. Set up a timer. You're gonna take this entire 1 minute. Okay.
The entire tea.
Okay. Ain't no skips. Ain't no stops. You must pass go. Okay?
Okay.
So this, just let us know exactly who you are, how you feel, where you're coming from, everything you want us to know about you. And we're going to get that started in 1, 2, go.
What's up? I'm MADlines, aka Maddie. I'm a nerd, extremely nerdy. I'm goofy, I'm funny. I would say I am super awkward at times, and my art is really important to me because basically it feels like life or death for me. I feel like if I don't create, I go crazy. I feel uncomfortable. I don't feel like myself. I don't feel like I'm even in my own skin. It just makes me feel like this gnawing sensation when I'm not creating, when I'm not making art. So I learned to make art a priority in my life. I learned to figure out how to value my art and make sure other people value it as well. And that was really difficult, especially being a woman in hip hop music. But I also see myself as an MC or a master of ceremony. So I don't just rap, I master other types of ceremonies too. Like, for example, I'm an educator. I've been working with incarcerated youth for the past 7 years. And yeah, that's basically who I am. You know, I'm a bad bruja, you know what I'm saying? That's me.
All right, thank you for giving us that wonderful introduction. So now we're going to roll to some questions. Taylor's going to hop out first. I ask you about 6 to 8 questions to dive a little deeper.
Ooh.
So I'm very interested to hear about your migration from Seattle to Oakland. What inspired that? How was your first few months? How did you make friends? How did you dig into the art scene? Paint that picture for us.
Sure. So I came to Oakland from Seattle a decade ago, and I went to Mills College, which was interesting. It's a cool school, but then it's not really in the community like that. So I really felt like after I graduated was when I really hit the ground running and really wanted to be part of the solution here in Oakland. Seattle is very different. It's the Northwest. It's grungy. It's rockerish. But at the same time, a lot of people, if you've ever visited there, it's kind of like a combination between like Berkeley and San Francisco or something. So it's not that big of a difference, besides the fact that obviously there's way more Black people in Oakland. So that was something that I really loved about being here. I feel like I really had to be innovative out here. I had to learn how to hustle out here. Oakland just continues to teach you about yourself. If you're willing to learn, it will teach you over and over and over again. A lot of people come out here and they don't make it. They're not able to stay. They're not able to find community. You know, we talk about community in Oakland, but there's also a lot of trauma that folks are dealing with. It's, even though it's a Black liberatory city, at the same time, the system, the state has put violence on this city for so long. It's got a lot of poverty. It's got a lot of challenges that people are facing. Again, and it's also changing, right? So I definitely have so much respect and so much love, and I try to prioritize people that are from here and making connections with people that I can really, that reciprocate that love. And that's been one of the joys of being out here. I feel like when people that are from here, they really mess with me. They're like, okay, Maddie, cool. That makes me feel like, all right, I'm doing something right. You know what I mean? But you always got to keep listening, especially because Oakland has lost 30% of its black population in the last 10 years. So since I've been here, so that's a reality that's happening. And I think we need to really center black people. We need to center black liberation wherever it exists. So yeah, I guess that's like my Oakland story. I'm still like processing. Like I feel like I'm just starting to really get it. Like for a long time, I was just surviving out here and I was just trying to like make ends meet. Now I feel like I'm stable. I'm starting to thrive a little bit, which I really enjoy. But I'm always going to rep Seattle because that's where I'm originally from. So shout out to Seattle. Yes.
Piggybacking off a little bit of what Tayleur said, when you were performing, you mentioned one time for your song Peaches, you're like, yeah, it's a little grungy and things like that. So I want you to talk about a little bit of all the different styles that you incorporate with your music, because you're more than a rapper, you're definitely an artist. I've heard you sing, I've heard you do a little reggae vibe sometimes. So tell me a little bit about all the different influences that make up you and your artistry when it comes to music.
Oh my God, such a good question, because I feel like I be doing too much. For a long time, I did do too much. I'm an Aries, so we're known for that. And I had to kind of like figure out, okay, what is my focus? Because I'm from Seattle, so I do have the grunge, the rockerness that kind of stayed with me. But also Seattle has a very thriving hip hop scene that started in the black community. And that scene has almost like an East Coast flavor in the sense of our lyricism has to be super on point in Seattle. Like you can't really be coming with no like halfway, raps. Like you really got to be able to spit. So I'm glad that I have that foundation, because I know that I can like body any verse like any day, right? So that there's that. I never really used to sing. Honestly, I still don't really feel like confident as a singer, but I just started to sing because basically I would come up with really good hooks and I was like, why don't I just sing this hook? Like I could sit here and wait for somebody else to sing it, and I love collaborating with other artists, but then I was like, might as well sing it. So it kind of got me trying that out. And I think as an artist, you have to be able to make mistakes. I think the audience can be really judgmental, the world can be really judgmental, but artists need to be able to make mistakes. They need to be able to try something out. It didn't work. That's how you learn is by making mistakes. And I think a lot of artists, they hold themselves back because they don't even really give themselves the chance to make a mistake, because they want to be so perfect. So that's what I try to continue to tell myself. My dad is from Jamaica, so I've been to Jamaica many times, about 8 or 9 times. I lived there for 6 months when I was a baby. And Jamaica, I mean, there's not enough can be said about the musical influences in Jamaica. It's just an incredible spiritual, just revolutionary, down chanting Babylon. So I do have a little reggae flavor in there. And that's always going to be there. I don't know. It's just kind of part of who I am. So somehow I try to connect everything. And then also, of course, Oakland, the 808, the thriving Oakland hip hop music scene, like definitely influenced me too. So somehow I'm trying to create from all of those. So it can be a handful at times, but I try my best.
Yes. Speaking of putting everything in a pot and brewing it and creating magic from it, tell us a little bit about Bruja life and what that means to you and how you identify and what that means, period.
So the word bruja means witch in Spanish. And I came up with the hashtag Bruja Life with a Y in 2015. I saw, there were artists like Princess Nokia and other women that were like talking about brujeria online everywhere. And I was like, this is really interesting. This is really fascinating. And the hashtags are a great way to bring dialogue together, to get people talking. And so what I started doing is, collaborating with other artists. I started putting on different hip hop shows. And it really was a way for us all to come together and realize that women, especially femmes, gender non-binary, LGBTQ people in general, are sacred and have healing mechanisms that we utilize in order to just get through the violence of this system and the violence of everyday life. So that was really what it was about. And it was crazy because I started this hashtag and then all of a sudden, 45 got elected. I mean, the level of like trauma that was already induced from the campaign he was running. And then we needed each other even more. I feel like movement making, people get so, like when you're trying to do social justice, you get so burnt out, you get so discouraged. I've been working, you know, like I said, I've been working in jails for almost a decade. And there were years when I was just so angry, I couldn't even see straight, so sad, I couldn't even get out of bed, right? So to me, Bruja Life is about channeling your indigenous ancestral practices that you utilize in order to survive, in order to take care of yourself, and in order to thrive. There's many different practices that one can be initiated into. For me, I'm still on a journey, but for me, I'm a Jamaican descent. My family is from one of the most magical places on the island, which is St. Thomas. Portland is also a very, very spiritual area. The Maroons, Nanny of the Maroons is from Portland, which is just north of where my family is from. So when I go there, I learn different ancestral practices. Obia, which is the conjure practices in Jamaica, is not really as understood because it's so underground that people don't talk about it, but it's a form of justice making, and it is also kind of a little bit more individual. So that's a little bit of just about my indigenous, trying to understand my indigeneity and where I'm from. My mom is white American, but her indigenous Europeanness is Irish. So I'm channeling that as well. Like I'm gonna start learning more about my Irish side. I want to go to Ireland probably next year, hopefully. So that'll be really important for me. I think you gotta really just know your roots in order to be able to grow. So there's so much to be said about Bruja life, but it's a lifestyle. Like it's a por vida, you know, all for life. You feel me? That's pretty much what it is.
So the more we talk about Bruja life, we talk about kind of the practice of it and the things that go into it. It makes me think about wanting to know more about your ritual for making music. So when you're getting things together, when you're about to start a new song, I really want to hear about, one, what's your inspiration, and two, how do you pull songs together to go into a project, the process of naming it and making it into a complete thing?
Well, I used to think that as an artist, you have to have this lightning burst of inspiration in order to create, and then I realized that is not always consistent. You can't always rely on that. So I have some songs that were basically inspired by like an experience, whether it was traumatic, whether it was exciting, whatever emotion it evoked. So sometimes I might respond to that, but sometimes you also need space from the experience before you can actually write about it. So I started to realize like I need to make my creating into a daily practice. And I think it's similar to if you're conjuring, or if you're basically making it into small mantra daily practices. So I write 3 or 4 pages every day, just free verse, anything in my journal. It's kind of just to get all of that junk out of my mind so I can get to the really good stuff. I try to write at least 1:16 a day. I don't always accomplish that, but I try my best to do that. Another thing I try to do is, try to do a little bit of singing, or like if I come up with a melody, I might just record it. So making it into a daily practice I feel like artists, we need to approach it almost like athletes, right? They wouldn't play like a championship game without like practicing first. But as artists, we often think that we're automatically supposed to be really, really amazing at a song after not having done it for a while. So that's something that's really important to me, making it into a daily practice. Like that's part of the ritual. And then also I would say when I'm coming up with a project, it's a really spiritual process, like figuring out what the project's going to be. I actually, I've done a lot of EPs, and I haven't had the opportunity to make an album yet, but I'm happy to say, fortunately, I was able to get the capital to create a full album. So I will be doing that very soon. I'm going to be starting that process. And I think for me, it's about, I don't think I can come up with the concept first. I feel like I have to work on the individual songs first, and then start to see what are the themes that are kind of coming up for me, and then also attaching those themes or those ideas to what's happening now in the world. Why is this important? Like, we don't make art for no reason, right? We make art to disturb the peace, or to make people see something in a new way. So that's usually my process, starting with the songs, the individual songs, and then moving to what is this concept? What do I want to offer the world? How do I, for me as an artist, I'm interested in healing people. I'm interested in creating art that, the difference between art and entertainment is a distraction. Art is supposed to draw you in. So I'm trying to draw people in, and what do I want to say to them? So those are the things that I think about.
I'm about to hit a little skirt on the genre of questions.
Okay.
I'm gonna have two more, so they're both very different.
Okay.
This one is about you online.
Oh yeah.
You have made an amazing transition from TikTok to Instagram. So talk a little bit about like the you being introduced to TikTok and kind of like this new way of capturing who you are and like messaging and talking and like really quick reels. And what made you start, and how in your process now, and if it's important and all those things.
Yeah, so I basically, social media is really interesting. To me, I see it as a tool. It's technology, right? It's neutral. But the thing that makes it not neutral is the fact that a lot of this technology is being created by white men. So they're interested in capitalizing. So I don't know if you guys have heard of the Social Network, like these movies that are talking about the real issues, which there are very real problems with social media, and you should definitely really have boundaries with it and use it as a tool as an artist to really catapult you to find your audience. I think I used to be really concerned with like an audience that really didn't fit me. And then I just started putting things out there and started to pay attention to what caught people's attention more than other things. And that's what I kept doing. So I would just keep doing that thing if it worked. So like I said before, artists need opportunity to fail. I think with social media, the way to approach it is to not try to make it perfect, but just put stuff out there and see what works and what doesn't work. When the pandemic first happened, everybody was super isolated. I was just in my house, and I'm not a boring person. Like, I will find something to entertain myself. So I go on TikTok and I'm like, at first I'm like overwhelmed because it's really fast and I'm like, oh, I'm too old for this, right? And then I think what really drew me into TikTok was like the acting aspect. I have been interested in theater. Theater was actually how I started as a performer. Like when I was like in middle school, my mom used to make me go to Rainier Valley Youth Theater in Columbia City, shout out to Seattle. And every summer I would be in a play. And so acting is also really good for your mental health. So when, we were all alone, we were like in, our houses, and I was like, okay, let me just make these little TikTok videos. And it started to get really fun. And I started to be like, okay, this is the Maddie show now. Like this is my personality, like take it or leave it. And then one of my videos went viral, kind of, I guess, I don't know, 500,000 like plays or something. And I was like, it was the most random video too. It was like, I was talking about relationship advice. But then I was like, oh, that's not random. Like, my audience is probably like women, probably women of color. They're probably between the ages of, 25 or 35 or something like that. So I'm like, oh, that makes sense. They would want to talk about relationships. And then I didn't even like how my makeup looked. I looked like, I had done my makeup. I looked like a clown in the pit. I was like, oh God. But that's the one that people like. So I started to be like, okay, what are the issues that people care about right now? And I know mental health is a really big one. And I don't actually share like that much of my music on my social media. I think that's something I'm trying to explore a little bit more too. But I'm just so much more than a musician. Like, I'm just basically like a TV show. Like, I'm like, this is who I am now. I'm gonna be a TV show. Sometimes I'm gonna sing and dance, and sometimes I'm gonna talk to you about mental health. Like, I'm gonna do whatever I want to do on this here social media. So that's basically where I'm at with it.
Yeah. I didn't know that your first viral video on TikTok was about like relationships.
It was.
Like that, because you have such a huge range. You talk about politics, you talk about self-love, you talk about self-care. But to piggyback on your viral TikTok, what is dating like for MADlines, but more specifically Maddie?
Well, real players move in silence. So I don't know how much I can talk about. No, just kidding. No, why did I say that? Oh my gosh. I'm such a dork. Basically, quarantine. Everybody stay protected because, people out here just dating like it's like normal times. It is not normal times, okay? So make sure people are really social distancing if you're dating somebody. For me, I started to go like on the apps, it's at first I was like, I don't want to be on the apps, but also one of the things I like about the apps is you can get out of your little social circle because people be in their little social circles, everybody dating each other, there's all this drama, all this BS. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna just kind of try to branch out. So that was kind of cool. I actually there was one point where Tinder had you could do a passport feature. Girl, I went all the way to the UK and I was like swiping in the UK, like what's up with these UK dudes? You know what I'm saying? Like, cause I feel that I am European at heart. Like I just feel that I should go to like France or Germany for a while, cause they live, I mean, it's not perfect. They still colonize, but they kind of living a little bit freer than us in the US. So anywho, you see how I went on a tangent there. Okay, so back to dating. I think that the pandemic has actually created a little bit of an upper hand because now people have to really go on dates, social distanced. Or you could just FaceTime somebody and decide if you really like them or not from the FaceTime. So you're less likely to waste your time actually, if you play it right. So that's a good thing. But yeah, I'm just basically, it's been taking so long for me to just like really like love myself. I've gone through a lot of challenges, in terms of like understanding what it means to love myself unconditionally. So I'm really just focused on that, first and foremost. Like I think that a relationship would supplement that. So yeah, that's still just the tip that I'm on, like loving Maddie and my cat, my son Punani. His name is Punani, my cat. So yeah, I'm a cat mom right now. That's the most important relationship to me.
And then my last question, can we say it's the last question before the rapid fire round? It's so funny, I wrote down love. Mm-hmm. And in the famous words of who was it, Mos Def on the Lauryn, it sounded like Mos Def, no, it was probably not. On the Lauryn Hill album where he was like, tell me what you know about love. I want Maddie to tell me what she knows about all kinds of love.
Man, what do I know about love? I feel like I know that like I'm always a student. I think if you ain't learning, you ain't living. And you really, when you're approaching love, I think it's important to approach from a place of openness. I also think with love, I've been doing a lot of inner child work. So, you could see it as a Buruha life factor, right? Healing your inner child. And I think about the things that happened to me as a little girl, the ways that I was abandoned and abused and how that might have impacted my approach to relationships and devaluing myself and being in connections that were not reciprocal or did not bring what I was bringing to the table. So basically codependency, right? And I think learning what love isn't teaches you a lot about what love is, like process of elimination, because it can be very, very discouraging. It can be very lonely. It can feel like, oh, I'm never going to meet somebody. I'm never going to, heal from this particular trauma, this particular heartbreak. But then you have to just remember that you're learning, right? And you have to just pick yourself back up. And you're also learning how to love yourself better. One thing I'm really working on is my inner voice. Like, what do I say to myself? Am I abusive? Am I nice? I took some shrooms. Shout out shrooms. I hope I can say that on here. But one time I took some shrooms and I was like listening to my inner voice, and I realized it had changed significantly in like the past few years, where I used to be so mean to myself. Like I was like, my voice in my head was like a hater, and I was like, why is that? Like past relationships or how I was raised or, just different types of gaslighting that can happen that can change your inner voice. And so once I realized that and I started to be like, okay, my inner voice is about to be my hype girl now. Like, she's gonna cheer me on. She's gonna just be super supportive. And when I started doing that, it really changed the game. It changed how I approached all types of relationships, whether it was friendships, whether it was love, all of those. So yeah, I really love Zora Neale Hurston, and she talks about like love makes your soul crawl out of its hiding place. Whenever I'm trying to figure out like what love is, I always look to Black women writers, because I just think they are so exquisitely, beautifully able to capture what love is, and also what it isn't, and also what it ain't, right? Because we need to remember what it ain't. And it ain't attachment, it ain't some kind of bond where you're it's not reciprocated, it's not trauma bonding, right? That's not love. So really examining what it is, it's a lifelong process, I would say, for sure.
All right, now we're about to get into this rapid fire question.
Okay,
So
ready.
well with the 1 minute intro question. Now we about to outro with like real quick.
Oh God, I'm nervous.
Shits.
Are you ready?
Yes.
You can curse on the show.
Here we go.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
If you could have an unlimited supply of one food, what would it be?
Burritos.
Favorite dessert?
Ice cream.
Should humans go to Mars?
Yes.
Describe your perfect song in 3 words.
Love like that.
What's a compliment you've been given often?
Nice titties.
Morning, noon, or night person?
Morning person.
Piece of clothing that instantly makes you feel good.
This one.
Last movie you saw in theater?
Girl.
Ooh, tick, 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 girl.
I know it's a pandemic, but you know.
Joker. It was weird.
Jesus Christ.
It was creepy.
I was so in love.
Is it my turn?
Yes, it's yours.
If your life was a movie, what would be the title?
That bad bitch.
Okay, where am I at? I don't even know. What's your favorite smell?
Lavender.
Describe your dream home.
Hella windows.
Tell us your best and your mama joke.
Your mama.
Oh, no.
I don't want to say those. They're so mean anyway.
That was good. I'm going to give props to me and Tay for asking questions about the show. I'm going to give props to MADlines for being on Any Given Monday.
Yes. Thank you for
No
having me.
stranger to Go Beam. She's been rocking the mic at Second Monday. She's
Yes.
been on Beam Talk. She's
Yay.
a part of the Go Beams family in more ways
Thank
than
you.
one. So thank you
you.
so much for coming out for this interview and for rocking with us today.
Of course.
Anything you want to say before we peace on out of here?
Protect Black women. Yeah, so I wore this shirt, you know what I'm saying? Shout out Malcolm X. And also one of my songs, God Talk, is all about protecting Black women.
Thank you so much.
Thank
for coming
you.
through. Awesome.
Appreciate
All love.
you. Yes,
And
much
out.
love. Mwah.
Have to cry, no